All right, we're going to quick go over the answers to the adjective and adverb phrase quiz. Hopefully by doing so you will understand, if you had made any mistakes, what the correct answers were and why they were what they were. So we're only going to focus on the bottom section because that's where the majority of the errors took place. Starting with number 5, he stayed by the pool during the fire alarm. This sentence had two prepositional phrases. We had by the pool, and then we also had during the fire alarm. When looking at those two phrases, it's pretty easy to tell what questions they answer, I think. By the pool is answering where, and then during the fire alarm answers when they happened. So knowing that they answer where and when, those are adverb questions. Adverbs have to modify verbs. So by the pool is answering where the staying is taking place. And then during the fire alarm, that one is also answering when the staying is taking place. So both of those phrases would modify the same word stayed, which is a verb. Because they answer where and when and modify an action, those would both be adverb phrases. The next one, number 6, the ship sailed across the sea. This sentence only had one, across the sea. This one, if we were starting with the arrow first, across the sea helps describe the sailing because it's answering where they are sailing. Across the sea answers where. We had this just like in number 5, where, pointing to a verb, sailing is a verb. So number 6, that phrase would also be an adverb phrase because it's modifying a verb and answering where. Number 7, over the weekend I watched a show about alligators. This one has two phrases once again. We had over the weekend, and then we also had about alligators. Over the weekend, the first phrase, if it's not clear what word it modifies, try to figure out what question it answers. Over the weekend, that has to do with time, so I would go with when. I would also accept how long. Over the weekend, if it's when, like it was up in number 5, that tells me that we're likely looking at an adverb question, and so over the weekend would answer when the watching is taking place. The second phrase, about alligators, that one, if it's not clear what question it answers, figure out what word it modifies. About alligators is helping to describe the show. And that one is answering which show or what kind of show. Since over the weekend answers when and modifies the verb watched, adverbs do those. And the second one, since it's modifying a noun, a thing, a show, a and thus signal a noun, answers what kind, those ones are adjective questions. Moving on to 8. Number 8 had two. One was a little bit trickier to find. The letter for you is sitting on the table. The one that people often miss is for you. We also had on the table. The first one, for you, that helps to describe the letter. A, an, and the signal a noun. A letter is a thing. And so our question for that would be, which letter? The one for you. The second one, on the table, that is answering where it is sitting. So for the arrow for that one, it would go to sitting. And it answers where it is sitting, on the table. First phrase, for you, since it's modifying a thing and answering which one we're talking about. Those are adjective phrases. And the second one, since it's answering where, it's identifying where it's sitting in action. Those are adverb phrases. Adverbs answer where, modify verbs. Number 9, the box in the attic has a ripped corner. This one only has one phrase, in the attic. This one was a little bit trickier. You had to make sure that all parts matched. In the attic, that is helping to describe the box. And the box is a thing, a noun, A-N and the signal nouns. The problem is this one looks like it answers where. In the attic has to do with location, answering where. But where is not an adjective question. Where can't modify a noun. So we have to make sure that we've got all of our parts matching. I do think for sure we are correct with in the attic modifying box. And so an adjective question that would go with that is which box, the one in the attic. And adjectives answer which one and modify nouns. That one can't have where for a question because it's modifying a thing. Adjectives answer which one or what kind. Then the last one, number 10, I chased the squirrel around the yard for fun. We had two phrases. Again, one was a little bit trickier to find than the other. Around the yard was one, and then we also had for fun. Same phrase as in number 8. Around the yard, if we're starting with the arrow, it looks like it might modify the squirrel here, but around the yard doesn't answer which squirrel we're talking about. It answers where we are chasing it. So the arrow would have to go from around the yard to the action of chasing. The second phrase, for fun, it can be a little bit tricky figuring out what that one modifies, but if we're trying to figure out what question it answers instead, that's answering why we are chasing it. We are chasing it for fun. So, since it's answering why, that is an adverb question. The arrow would also go to the same word, just like it did in number 5. Both of those phrases modify the same word, chased. And chase is a verb. That's something that you can do. That's an action. So both around the yard and for fun would be adverbs. And the last part that we would need then is, since we think around the yard is an adverb, modifying a verb, we would just need the question, which is where. So hopefully that helps. Check the posting for the follow-up questions to make sure that we are understanding what our mistakes were and we are ready to do some additional practice before a reassessment. Let me know if you have any questions.